It literally feels like it's 2017 again, because once again, we're making content about the Ball family. I even think Ball and the Family is about to get re-upped for another season on Facebook, and if that happens, that should be fairly interesting to say the least. But for the most part, the Ball family seems to be flourishing this year for the first time in 3 years. Through 8 games this season, Lonzo Ball appears to be having the best season of his young career, which is a pretty important thing considering the fact that this is a make or break season for him, and he is going to hit restricted free agency this upcoming offseason. But at the same time, LaMelo Ball has finally entered the NBA, and although he's had his ups and downs so far, he's averaged 12 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game off of a player efficiency rating of 17.5, which is pretty freaking sweet considering how he came off to be a very raw prospect when coming into the NBA. Nevertheless, there's the question about Liangelo Ball. What's going to happen with him, and where does he stand currently, because he had a very interesting preseason to say the least. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here, and guys, we are 2,000 subscribers away from officially hitting the 500,000 subscriber mark, so I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that. On top of that, I want to give a shout out to Kyrie Adams and Mystics for joining as members on Mike Mafia and helping further support me on this channel. And of course, make sure you're following us on Instagram and Twitter to have your takes featured in the content. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, the only footage I have of Liangelo Ball over the past, 2 to 3 months is this little tiny snippet of when the Detroit Pistons featured him in training camp. Yes, a couple of months ago, all NBA fans and Ball fans alike got extremely excited for the fact that Liangelo Ball finally got an opportunity because he was presented with an Exhibit 10 contract from the Detroit Pistons to play under their team. Now, we had an interview from DKM who took some time to interview a Detroit Pistons insider to ask what it would take for Liangelo Ball to actually make it to the full team. Nevertheless, the Detroit Pistons insider said that it was a long shot for Liangelo Ball to make it, and the only way he would make it was if he completely dazzled everybody during training camp. If he did something like go out for 30 points per game in the preseason games, or just looked really good during training camp scrimmages. And it appears as though Liangelo Ball either never got the opportunity because we never saw him in actual games, and then would eventually get cut by the Detroit Pistons, or the Pistons just saw what they had to see and elected to move on from Liangelo Ball because it wasn't NBA ready enough or good enough to play in the NBA. So they cut Liangelo Ball, and well, Liangelo Ball fans seemed to be fairly frustrated because it was clear what the Detroit Pistons were trying to do there. Bringing in Liangelo Ball just so they could get a little bit more attention, because Liangelo Ball does carry some fame with him, or clout if you will. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually tuned into a couple of Detroit Pistons preseason games just to see my man play. But it was clear that, hey, maybe Liangelo Ball may not be cut out for the NBA. Well, we got some news today that could kind of put some things in perspective and change some things if you're a Liangelo Ball fan or a NBA fan. You see, for those of you guys that didn't know, the NBA is doing everything they possibly can to make up for the lost revenue from the fact that they had to axe a bunch of games over a 3-month span last year, and the fact that they can't even feature basketball fans in the stands this year. That makes up a huge quantity of their revenue. If you think about it, from concessions to parking spaces to just being at games and all the additional merchandise sales you probably get from the impulse purchases at games, the NBA needs to do whatever it can in order to make up that lost revenue. And one of the ways they're doing that is a moderation to the G League. Now, I'm not trying to overhype the G League, but for the first time, it appears as though the NBA kind of took what LeVar Ball's idea was behind the JBA and implemented it themselves. You see, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Principal Singh, and Deshaun Nix were a bunch of very high-profile basketball prospects that were supposed to go to the NCAA. Nevertheless, they announced that instead of going to the NCAA and playing in college, they were going to go straight to the NBA G League. There they would play for a team called the Ignite, and the entire purpose of the Ignite's program is a one-year program that would officially focus on NBA draft readiness and the growth of professional life skills. The team will be eventually filled with veteran players to help mentor the prospects as well. They're going to play about 10 to 12 games against other G League teams and international clubs, and they're not necessarily an official G League team. The G League is going to be taking part in a bubble at Disneyland, very similar to what the NBA did last year, and it's set to begin on February 8th, and the G League draft officially is going to take place on January 11th, 2021. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this information is because Liangelo Ball signed a G League deal to take part in the league's bubble. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to be in the G League, because there's going to be a draft on Monday to fill the rosters of the teams for the teams that are taking part in the league's restart. There's going to be 17 teams that will travel to the bubble to play. Now, Liangelo signed an Exhibit 10 deal with the Pistons, and he could have been part of the loan system that the NBA implemented with the G League players this year. And Detroit is one of a number of teams that are not sending their G League affiliate to take part in the bubble, so that could possibly be why Liangelo Ball was also cut. So I'll tell you what the best case scenario is here for Liangelo. It's the fact that he will have an opportunity to prove his skills finally, because I don't believe he really got an opportunity to play with the OKC Blue when he signed with the Thunder's G League affiliate on a more or less a national scale, should he get the opportunity to play against the Ignite and the up-and-coming high school basketball players that are entering the NBA draft this year. And I think that's a remarkable opportunity for him. I feel like if he finally went up against some good competition and played against some legitimate NBA potential talent, then he could potentially convince a team to take a flyer on him. Bear in mind that the story of Liangelo Ball's career isn't necessarily that he's not good enough, rather, he never really played against good enough competition, and his skill level wasn't good enough to have scouts come and watch him in Lithuania. They didn't really take his statistics seriously when he played for the JBA, and as a result, he's never been taken quite seriously as a legitimate prospect. However, this could be the opportunity he needs, but it all hangs on one decision. Will there be a team that will draft Liangelo Ball in the G League draft? I'd like to think that there is, mainly because a G League team is more likely to be watched if Liangelo Ball is on that team. It's really that simple. You're not going to watch the G League for anyone else except the Ignite, Liangelo Ball, and maybe some players that I'm forgetting, but all of the studs in the NBA are currently in the NBA. All the up-and-coming talent are in the NBA already. You're probably just going to watch the Ignite for Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga and all the other young prospects, and maybe you're going to watch it for Liangelo Ball. We'll have to wait till Monday to see what ends up happening, but let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think Liangelo will even get drafted? Aside from that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.